Let's make our own stitch markers. Hey yarny peeps, my name's Sarah aka Crocreate, and today I am going to show you just how easy it is to make your own stitch markers at home. Now I know what you might be thinking, oh, don't you need a load of jewellery supplies to make your own stitch markers? Well, you can go all out and buy absolutely everything to make some really cute custom stitch markers, but you don't actually need a lot to make some stitch markers for crochet. I'm going to show you various ways you can do this, and some of these things can even be found around the house. If you've got some old jewellery that you don't use anymore, you can take the findings from that, or you can go ahead and purchase a few cheap items from Amazon. The ones that I have bought I will leave links to in the description below. As always guys, please chuck a like on this video and subscribe. It's free and it helps me out a lot. So let's get into making our own stitch markers. Alrighty, so you can see here in front of me I've got quite a few supplies just sitting around on the table. I'm just going to move them out of the way for a minute, and I'm going to tell you the most basic things that you're going to need. So first of all, one of the most basic things is going to be the clasp that you're going to put the stitch markers on. And I have these ones, I bought them on Amazon, they were super cheap, and it is a pack of 50, so, oh no, a pack of 100. So you're going to be able to make 100 stitch markers, and I think they cost me a £5. So what we're talking, my maths is terrible, 5p a stitch marker for those. Great if you love to make custom ones, if you like to make them for your friends, this is really nice as well. So that's my first super cheap supply that you're going to need. I'm going to do basic, and then I'm going to go a little bit more. This is what you could buy if budget isn't an issue. So basic, budget friendly, lobster clasps. Okay, and then the next thing, of course, you're going to need some beads. Now you can choose large beads for chunky projects or small beads for if you're making amigurumi or things like that. I've got a couple of bead choices here. I've got these cute little flowers, and then we have some letters and just some regular round beads. I also do make my own beads and charms out of resin. So I'm going to show you guys what I've got here in this bag. So I've also sort of got my own resin beads. This little mold had a bit of an issue, so these are like my seconds that I'm just going to use for my own stitch markers, but I've got a ton of them in this bag as well. So you can either find beads off an old jewellery item that you don't want to use anymore, or you can just buy some cheap beads on Amazon. Again, I will leave the link to the boxed ones below. So that's our second thing you're going to need. And then we're going to need some tools. So I got this whole pack on Amazon. Again, another cheap pack, something I'll leave the link to down below. This should start you off pretty nicely if you wanted to make your own stitch markers. The things that we're going to need in here, first off, are the jump rings. You can see in here, this is really nice because it's got all different sizes from teeny weeny to really big. And a set of pliers. Now you can use your fingers for the jump rings. I just find it a little bit harder, and the set came with pliers, so it was a win really anyway. There are other things in this kit that you don't necessarily need if you're just starting out. It did come with some tweezers, which are really handy for picking the little bits up, but that's not a necessity. So your budget sort of supplies would be, I would say, pliers, because I've done this for a few years now and I found it really fiddly without. Jump rings for definite. You're going to need something to attach the lobster clasp to the bead. Some sort of little beads, whether that's something you've made yourself or off an old piece of jewellery, or some cheap beads from Amazon. And you are going to need some lobster clasps as well. So that is your budget-friendly basic starter kit for making your own stitch markers. Let's get a little bit more. This is what you could have if you aren't on such a budget, because I'm very conscious that there are people out there that are on a budget like we are, or there are people out there that, you know, can have a little bit more income that they can spend on extra things. So you'll need all that stuff. Optional extras are head pins. Now, head pins are something that you can see I've got an earring finding in there. Head pins are something that are traditionally used to make earrings, but if you want to make a bit more of an advanced stitch marker, which I'll show you as we go through, head pins are really great for adding little extra details. And earring backs. So you might think, well, why do we need earring backs? These are good for chunky projects because what you can do is you can take the earring out, push the back in a little bit, and it'll hook through the chunky yarn here, and if it's pushed in a little bit the gap will be smaller, so it'll hold on better, and it's a bigger loop to go through the chunky yarn. And then you can go all out and find beads on the internet that are just made for you. You can see here I've got some really nice acrylic beads. These are from Craft Jam. I will leave a link to them below. And also I've got some lovely acrylic beads here. I've got a unicorn, I've got a llama, you know, so you can go all out and spend money on beads to really personalize your stitch markers, but you don't have to. These are things that I have historically in my stash anyway, but if you want to add a little bit of extra pizzazz to your stitch markers, you can go all out and purchase whatever you want. So let's get cracking. Let's do budget-friendly stitch markers first. First thing you're going to do, and it's going to be super easy, you can follow it through, is you're going to figure out what bead you want. I said before, these are quite big, my little Suit Sprites. Would I use them for one of my projects I've got going on now? Probably not, but I do love the little moon. I have loads of beads like floating around. I think I'm going to go with the butterfly. So we've got our bead, and then really simply and easily you're going to want to get out one of your lobster clasps and a jump ring. So the size of jump ring depends on the size of your bead, so I'm just going to go for this one and just see if it's going to work. Yeah, perfect. So we've got our bead, our jump ring, our lobster clasp, and our pliers. Okay, so the really simple thing about this is it's super quick. I'm going to show you guys exactly. All we're going to do is you're going to clasp the jump ring in your pliers and prise it apart a little bit, and you're going to put your bead on, and you're going to put your lobster clasp on, and then you're going to push it together. And when I said, oh right, okay, so if you get a join like this, this is what the pliers are really good for as well. You can see we're overlapping a bit here, so what you need to do is pull out a little bit more, and then when you're flush, push together fully. Very fiddly, but also you can see there, what you can do is just grab your pliers and push it together. Lovely jubbly. Like I said, that was in real time. Super easy. Absolutely super easy. And it didn't take long at all. And I've made one. I've got 100 clasps left. If you bought a pack of 100 beads, then you could make 100 stitch markers and it hasn't cost you a lot of money. So that's your basic bare bones. What we are going to do now is make a little bit more of a complex one. Then I'll show you guys how to make one with the earring finding as well, so if you want to use it on chunkier projects. So I'm going to use the circular beads and one of these wires. The first one was beginner, this one I'd say it was a little bit intermediate, and then the next one we're going to go on to will be like the expert version. One of these little flower beads. You're still going to need your lobster clasp, and I'm going to get a couple of beads. I'm all about colours and this flower just isn't giving me the vibes. I'm going to do hot pink because hot pink and black's always a win. So I've got 2 beads, 2 round beads, my sort of main focus bead, my wire and my clasp, and then you're also going to need still a ring like so. What you're going to do first is you're going to arrange your beads, they don't run away from you like mine are, onto your wire, and I'm going to do a pink bead on the end, flower bead in the middle, and then pink bead on the end again. So that's my sort of arrangement. And what you're going to do is you'll definitely need pliers for this. You're going to take pliers and put them flush to the end, and then you're going to turn your stitch marker over your pliers to create that loop, and then push together. You can see it's not quite flush, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab our little loop. See how difficult this is in real time, and I'm filming as well, and we're just going to pull it so that it is flush like so. And then you've got 2 options, you can have that as the bottom or the top, but I'm going to have it as the top. So then all you do is the same as we did with the first stitch marker, is you're going to pop your jump ring on, and then you're going to pop your lobster clasp on. Voila! Voila! We have another stitch marker. So that one's a little bit more advanced because you have to do a little bit more turning with the wire, but other than that, again, it didn't take very long and it didn't use a lot of supplies. So we've got our basic stitch marker, our intermediate stitch marker, and now we're going to go all out there, bells and whistles stitch marker. So what you're going to need for this are any concoction of beads you can think of, but you're definitely going to need one of these little fellas. You're going to need 2 jump rings for this one. You're going to need your lobster clasp and your concoction of beads. What I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to stack my beads first. This is like the first and second stitch marker mashed together. And then we're going to turn the wire as we did in the last one. See, I went a little bit more successful there. So that's our more basic stitch marker, and then this is why we have 2 jump rings. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the first jump ring and we're going to open it, place our dangly bead on there, and then put that on the end of our stitch marker. We are going to do it. Very fiddly. If you haven't got patience, this probably isn't the task for you. Alrighty, so that is our dangly bit, and then exactly the same for the top. We are going to open, pop on the top, pop on the lobster clasp, and close. And there we have our super fancy stitch marker and our mid-range, and then our basic one. So you can see where you can go all out. You can see where you can keep it really, really simple as well. I just think it's a really nice way to show your personality a bit more through your crochet. I also said that I'd show you putting the earring finding on, so I will just do that really quickly because this is really, really good for chunky projects. All we're going to do with this is I'm going to use one of the stitch markers that I've already made, and I'm going to show you how to put the earring finding on. So might cut out at this point, you guys, you're going to have to deal with me voiceovering, and it's not going to be matching my face. Basically, all I'm doing here is moving, taking off the stitch marker, top and lobster clasp that I'd made already so that I can put the earring finding on. So the earring finding goes on just the same as the lobster clasp, and you're going to want to close your jump ring at this point. The main thing about this is that you can change the earring finding so that it will go over a chunky yarn stitch, but it won't come open. So all you need to do with your fingers is push down, and you can see there that it closes the gap. And because the gap is closed, it then means that it will stay on the chunky yarn and it won't come off. Again, apologies for the voiceover here. My mic cut out. It's just one of those things. Using this method with chunky yarn just means you won't have to fiddle with a lobster clasp. So we have our stitch markers made, and I just want you guys to let me know in the comments, how would you make your stitch markers? Is this something that you've done before? Is this something that you'll think you'll do again? It's now going to cut to my face, and anything I'm saying on screen isn't going to match my lips. I'm so sorry. This is so frustrating for me as well. Basically, all I'm saying here is please like and subscribe this video. Let me know in the comments if you've made your own stitch markers. New videos go up every Sunday. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.